All right, welcome to Coldwell Black Gaming, the channel where I play a different indie game almost every day to show you guys those hidden and not so hidden gems. Today we're going to be doing something new. Today I'm going to be doing just a quick review, right? Normally I have those long Let's Plays, and now I'm going to couple that with a more in-depth review of the game that's a bit quicker. That way, if you want to see a Let's Play, you really want to see that gameplay, you can go on and head over to that video. And if you want just a verdict and kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly about this game, stay here for the review. After 7 hours of building armies and There Are No Orcs, here's whether this $9 RTS Roguelike is worth your money at launch. This is a tile placement auto battler where you build bases. Your troops march forward automatically, and positioning matters. Think Warcraft 3 tug-of-war maps if they had roguelike runs, okay? Or if you played it earlier this year, another fantastic example of this is The King is Watching. So I'm just gonna give you guys my verdict up front, and we'll go into why, right? This game is fun. I'd say it's worth the $9 price point. Even now, I wanna keep playing to experience all of the variety in this game, but I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. What does this game look like and what actually makes it different from other games? So the core gameplay loop is simple. You place buildings on a grid to generate gold or spawn units. Your army auto battlers towards the enemy base, and once you destroy the enemy base, you win. You can pause anytime you want to rearrange your layout, or you can fast forward if you want this process to go a little bit quicker, like in any good auto battler. What sets this apart from other auto battlers I've covered is that its building placement creates synergies, right? Unlike Underboard or Lucha Chess, where, you know, your units are really what you want to kind of work with their mechanics, or even if you're looking at something like Nine Kings or The King is Watching, right? They do have synergies in your placement. This game takes that to a whole new level. It becomes an entire puzzle challenge more so, right? When you start off early on, you know, you put your dragon next to an econ building and units get produced faster, okay? You chain economy buildings together and you get more gold per second. Later on, when you unlock the other factions like the demons and the dwarves, you have to figure out entire chains of buildings to make sure resources end up in the right place, producing the right units at the right time. And that it does get much more complicated. There's 30 commanders, each with unique abilities, and 4 unique buildings. In my Let's Play, I get started with Gustav because, well, he was the character I just unlocked. His gold-based playstyle allowed me to just completely dumpster the enemy. It was super easy, and you know, he's the second character in the game. They're going to make him very player-friendly and very easy to grasp, right? This isn't a skill-based game. It's about reading those synergies and adapting your build based on the relics you find mid-run and understanding when to build up your economy versus when to pump out units. So it's that classic RTS decision-making, but put in an auto battler. Let's take a look at what works and what doesn't work with this game, because I think that's really what's going to make or break it for a lot of people. The first thing that works really well is the faction variety is real, okay? Humans, demons, and dwarves all build differently. I've only played humans extensively. They're orcs. I mean, all of the ones I've seen so far are clearly orcs. The dwarves are also orcs. The demons, well, sometimes they're weird things, but they're probably also orcs. There's definitely orcs here. They're the most straightforward of the races, humans, okay? So it's very simple. Get gold, make units, beat people up, all right? Demons offer a much more puzzle-like playstyle where these resources get passed from building to building to building, and you have to kind of figure out the right order to put everything in to get the maximum yield. And I haven't played dwarves that extensively. I've only touched it in one game, and I'm gonna tell you guys, dwarfs, maybe after some more time with it, it'll just click. Dwarfs make it even more complicated, okay? Because they have their own unique resource, but they also use a lot of gold. And they have buildings that can use gold to make gold to make the resource to make gold, health to make gold, health to make the resource, and then all of those resources that you would make to make units. So, and on top of that, you can turn on and off the production of goblin buildings. So they really kind of do this like factory approach to it, or of dwarven buildings, sorry. They really do this. I keep calling them goblins because if you look at the dwarves, they look like goblins. They're dwarf orcs, they're goblins. But they really do this factory kind of approach to it, and that is really cool. The roguelike elements really integrate well with it. Okay, relics change your build mid-run. I got one that allowed my econ buildings to actually be classified as econ, culture, and military buildings, which completely changed what my priorities were. Equipment on commanders adds a whole other layer. It does feel a little bit like meta progression padding, but hear me out. Okay, so early on, the equipment is just simple things like melee attack units get plus 10% damage. You start with 150 extra gold. Very simple things, right? And that I would definitely call meta progression padding. You're not searching for equipment pieces. Who cares? You just put on whatever you have, whatever has the biggest number, and you keep going. Later on, when you start seeing legendaries, they will boost specific buildings or specific units. I've only seen one legendary, but it increases the AoE of my wizards by like 175%, which is huge. That entirely changed how I was playing the game. So the equipment does work well. Much like a lot of stuff in this game, you need to get there. And we're going to touch on that next with the whole what doesn't. Here's the thing. The answer to what doesn't work is not much. The things I'm going to say about it are more critiques and disclaimers than actual negatives, right? The first thing is it can feel a little bit slow at times, and this is definitely in the early game. Later game, stuff gets hectic. But in the early game, it can feel a little bit slow at times, especially if you're playing with the humans, and that's simply because it's an auto battler. And again, this is more of a disclaimer I'm putting out there because I've seen people kind of come to this game expecting a full-blown RTS and be unhappy with it, and it's not that. It is an auto battler with RTS elements. And the second thing that I think doesn't work, this one's really important for the roguelike crowd, is the meta progression is mostly found in character unlock. Equipment can be kind of meaningful, like I just explained, but I find myself looking forward to the next commander I get and seeing how their particular specialization changes my interaction with the game a lot more. That being said, the pacing of the unlocks in the game feels kind of wonky. There's part of me that feels like it should be quicker to get more commanders. With that being the main source of meta progression in the game, I understand why some things take a while. This can be felt particularly with the dwarves not being unlocked until you hit Chaos 5. Chaos is the final difficulty. There's normal, hard, brutal, and then Chaos. Chaos is your Diablo Rift kind of system where you just keep leveling up. It's Chaos 1, 2, 3, and it keeps going. So Chaos 5 is when you get your first dwarf character. Again, it makes sense that the pace be spread out. I kind of wish it was more balanced over the races because all the dwarves are unlocked through getting further in Chaos levels or doing dwarf-related things, so you'd have to have a dwarf to get it. So really what ends up happening is you don't see the dwarves until much later in the game. I didn't see them until my 7th hour of playing. I think this will go quicker for you guys. I was doing a lot of experimenting. There are a few runs I lost because I was just trying to see if certain interactions worked and things, but if you're just kind of gunning for it, it will probably take like 4 hours, maybe 5. But yeah, I didn't see it till my 7th hour of playing, and it's that level of I kind of wish there was one of each faction unlocked early so you could kind of figure out the different play styles and what you like best. I do understand why dwarves are last. They're the most complicated, demons are the middle ground, and humans are the easiest, so it does make sense. I had to push for quite a bit to see that. So a little bit more about this game, and I touched on this earlier. Is it a skill kind of game or a grind kind of game? And here's the thing, it's neither. It's knowledge. Once you understand your building synergies and which commanders work with which strategies, runs become a lot more consistent. However, in my perspective, the game is positioned in such a way where it doesn't get difficult until the later chaos levels, until the chaos levels. Around 4 is when I started being like, oh, I need to try. And so, that is something you should definitely note when you're looking at getting this game, right? You're going to play through normal all the way through brutal, and it's not going to be difficult pretty much at all. Chaos is when it starts picking up, and even the early chaos levels still don't feel that difficult. I haven't gotten super late in chaos levels, so I don't know, the difficulty ceiling of this game or how hard it gets, so I can't really speak to that, but the early game does feel rather easy. Would I buy it at $9? And I think I just answered that, but yes. For $9, currently $7 with the launch discount, this delivers. All right, if you like strategic puzzle solving over action reflexes, I already put in 7 hours and I'm still experimenting with faction builds and things like that. And I'm still trying to push to unlock more commanders. I think $9 is definitely worth this game. That being said, in these reviews, I always want to touch on who this game is for, right? Because I see so many reviews around on the internet and things where people will sit there and watch a review on Call of Duty and then go, and the review will be like, oh, it was great. It was an 8-star Call of Duty game. And someone will go, it was like 3 stars because I don't like first-person shooters. It's not for you. Then the game ain't for you. So who is this for? If you played those old World of Warcraft 3 or StarCraft 2 tug-of-war custom maps and thought, I wish this was a roguelike, this literally is that game. You like Monster Train's build variety with their captain system, but want it in real time with armies? This fits. If you want tight action, mechanical skill expression, or heavy meta progression grinds, this is not for you. Okay, that's not what this game is going to deliver. But my recommendation is definitely buy now. If you're into auto battlers and you like these kind of strategic games at $7 during launch week, low risk, easy decision. I highly recommend the game. I've got a 30-minute Let's Play on the channel where I kind of fumbled through my first couple runs with the human faction, learning build synergies the fun way, you know, where my Kingdom Court wizards ended up blasting the enemy to dust. Okay, so I'm going to put that in the description, and you guys should go check that out if you want to see more in-depth gameplay. Anyways, guys, if you made it to this point in the video, thank you very much for watching. A like and a sub would be very much so appreciated. Trying to grow the channel right now. Every little bit helps. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.